Welcome to Power Talks. I'm Beth Ann. And say good morning. Yes, she's here, to my partner, Melody Cedarstrom, as we bring and empower you with the truth. Melody, I'm so glad you're back.
And it is great to be back. I can't say just after 2 weeks, I missed not being here. So I thought about you as I was in agony waiting to be called for the jury. But they didn't want me for 2 days. In fact, yesterday the defendant didn't show up, so they dismissed everybody. But takes a few hours out of your schedule, which is this hour is one of those. So it's great to be back.
Well, it's been a busy week.
It certainly has.
Not just personally, but on the national level, things have been heating up, and it's just been crazy.
It certainly has, and we'll be talking about some of those things probably going into our bigger segment of the day. Maybe we can just do a little bit of lighter, but politicians, they can come in any age, correct?
It seems to be.
Well, Kansas, there's a young gentleman, Jack Bergeson. Have you heard of him?
No, I have not.
He is running to be governor of Kansas, and thanks to the state's vague election rules on candidate ages, Mr. Bergeson is a 16-year-old high school student from Wichita. So he has thrown his hat into the ring to run for his state's highest office. Last year, he signed papers that allowed him to start raising money for his campaign, the same step taken by all major candidates. He has a running mate.
Can't even vote yet.
He can't even vote yet. His running mate is 17. And I'll let you guess which party that they have chosen.
I'm going to guess the Democrat Party.
Ding, 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 you're correct.
Because they're all inclusive, you know.
Yes. Well, in 47 states, the minimum age requirement for governor ranges from 18 to 31. In Massachusetts, the candidate's state constitution doesn't spell out an age requirement, but you have to be a registered voter, so you know that's 18. But in Kansas, he's campaigning to succeed Republican Governor Sam Brownback, who took a job with the Trump administration. So there are absolutely no qualifications whatsoever for candidacy. No age, no residency, no citizenship. The law is silent. So anyone can run to be the governor of Kansas. He's a
16-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got a lot of experience to glean from, don't they?
Well, you know what's a little scary is that anybody can run. His campaign boasts a very progressive platform that was inspired by Bernie Sanders, with the planks of including a minimum wage increase and a tax increase for the wealthy. Kind of scary, isn't it?
Are they going on free education as well, you know, free college? And they probably don't have a clue. I'm certain they don't have a clue. I didn't have a clue at 16 and 17 years old how things ran. That's funny, but it's really scary.
So when school starts, he says he might be spending his evenings on this, but he can go out with his friends on the weekends. He says, I'm up for it. Sounds like a typical Democrat that doesn't want to work hard, but...
Well, now we don't want to expect too much out of these politicians. So, you know.
But it really is kind of scary. Anyone. I mean, I could go to Kansas and run for governor.
Because I've got some family lives up there. Maybe I'll talk to them, see if they want to run for governor.
Unfortunately, the sign up is a little past. I don't know what date it was that they had to sign up for. It's probably too late. But
not that these two aren't serious, but is there any serious candidates?
Well, of course, who knows?
Okay.
It was a Republican governor who left. So
this will be a special election?
This is a special election. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We just had a special election here to replace a representative that took another office during the election. So that was Tuesday. So we got through that, and we did barely, but we did get the Republican girl, and I know her personally. Her husband worked at Learfield Communications, where Derry Brownfield's offices were located, and so I knew her husband. He worked then for the Missouri Net. And so I knew him before he was her husband. He worked there. So she's really a sweet person and really cares about Missouri. So I was excited to promote her and help her. So she is going to take that position. She did win the election. You know, I had talked earlier this week, Melody, about a school situation. And it was a college, university, and they were, for their business students, they were going to let them pick their own grade so that they're not overly stressed. So if they don't like the grade they get on their final or their test, they get to call the professor or contact the professor and say, I don't like it, I think I deserve this, and they'll change it. You know, we all wished we could have done that. And then there was some high schools that were one was going to start what was it? That was one of the academic things that they had going. I've got them all buried here. And they were going to, the letter went out to the parents, and it was going to be only minority students were going to be allowed, which is a little bit of discrimination. And then there was another one that had to do with the grades. And, of course, you know, it was a year and a half, 2 years ago where they were grandfathering it in the state of California. You don't have to earn your diploma anymore. You didn't have to pass a test to get your diploma. So, and we wonder why we're in this mess we're in with the way we're, you know, not educating our young people. So.
Well, you know what? It really starts back, and I don't want to go to, but it all starts back to our belief, our faith, no accountability. Do whatever you want to do if it feels good. Anybody can do anything they want to do, and it's just like, and that's why you have all these little things that pop up that it's just insane, and it's just like just do whatever you want to do. Well, you can't. Not that I know. Pardon?
Not only do they want to do whatever they want to do, if it feels good, do it. They don't want to be responsible then for their actions. And that's where it really hits the fan, because that's, you know, the free sex, free love era. That was, you know, when I was a teenager, and now that's how abortion came to be, because they don't want to be responsible for their actions. And so we have all kinds of things going on, including the transgender and the movement for where they all came out of the closet with all the gays. And not only is it that, it seems to be a fad, you know, to do all these things. And it's just you know, back to what you said. If it feels good, do it. But then they don't want to be responsible for their actions. And the same thing with the school. They don't want to be responsible. If they didn't get the good grade, they didn't want to be responsible. And so they want to say, no, I think I deserve a better grade than that.
The first word.
You know, it really goes back. It does go back to home. But it goes back to the fact that we're not living by the rule of law. We're not living under any kind of common sense. And I have a story here. I think I've got time to give it. It's the actor James Cromwell. He says, we need to get more political and educate people on the right. And I thought this was kind of funny. It's just a really short article. It says actor James Cromwell is calling on Hollywood to become more political, and I know, Lord, help us all, and do a better job of educating conservatives as to why President Trump is a bad leader for the U.S. instead of launching shallow and ad hominem attacks against the president. It's very easy to vilify an idiot who happens to be the president of the United States, but it doesn't solve the problem. We have to educate people. We have to educate people on the right. We can't demonize people because of their political stance. We have to say, look, it won't matter ultimately whether you're Republican or radical right or progressive. All that will matter is that we're able to drink the water, breathe the air, live on the land. That's what's threatened. So he's one of those Earth worshippers and climate change people that thinks that's what our biggest threat is. You know, Korea's not a big threat, and I guess he's not concerned about Russia. But it also goes on here to say that he had been arrested multiple times for protesting environmental issues. So apparently those weren't totally peaceful protests that he was involved in. But that I agree with him that calling names isn't the way to do it, but I'm concerned about the lack of respect for the office of the President of the United States, and I believe that disrespect goes way back to the time of Bill Clinton and what his activities in the Oval Office. I think there's a disrespect for the office itself, and the left and those that hate Donald Trump, it doesn't matter to me if you voted for him or not. He is the President of the United States right now, and we need to show some respect. And he is far from an idiot. You may not agree with everything he does, but he is a far cry from an idiot. He wouldn't be where he is today if he was an idiot. So, I don't know. Anyway, that bothers me. What did you say?
I've seen a lot of idiots get pretty far. And I'm not meaning Mr. Trump. But not at all. And I agree with you. He's no dummy. I mean,
Well, we see an awful lot of them in Congress. But
but yeah, absolutely. But I agree with you. We've lost respect for the seat of the presidency for this country. We've lost respect not just from that, but it also goes to our Constitution. That's what we've lost respect. Because it all flows down, and we shouldn't change the things that we've changed, but it is a long parcel of legislation changes, and that's gone back for how long that we've seen gradually the respect erode. Hey, let's just start at the creation of the Federal Reserve. I mean, it goes back a lot further than that with the bankers and, messing up things and
President Jackson,
playing with our monetary policies.
Old Hickory Stick, he saw that coming, and he was fighting those bankers back then. Yeah. I mean, mankind has a nature of greed. And there are always those, you want to call them entrepreneurs. There's some people that are entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur. They say that I am. I don't know that I am, but I'm definitely committed to what maybe I need to be committed. I'm definitely committed to what I'm trying to do here and on CSC Talk Radio, trying to just to give the people a voice that don't have a voice. And here they are being ignored again. Mitch, they've got the Ditch Mitch thing going on now. Mitch McConnell, how dare they say that we have too high of an expectation? Well, how dare us to expect those guys to do something they said they were going to do? How much effort does it take to hit a little box and say repeal? I mean, how hard is that? It's only difficult because they make it that way.
Well, I also believe that part of our monetary policy in this situation, the bankruptcy of this country, is also making it difficult for them to hit the word repeal. I think
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin, because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario. This false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody in the morning. And Melody is here. She had been on jury duty a couple of days this week. Do you want to go straight to the phone line, Melody?
Let's do that. We have Don from Pennsylvania calling us.
Good morning, Don.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, I don't know what the subject is, but I'm really concerned about the warmongering that is going on now and the demonization of North Korea by the CI prostitute media, as Paul Craig Roberts calls it. And I think we need more Paul Craig Roberts and Stephen Lindman on this program, because I think there's too much that is flipping through that is agreeing with the CI Operation Mockingbird press demonization that always precedes these genocidal wars. And if we would look up certain things like U.S. war crimes in Korea, or U.S. war crimes against Korea, I think people would be horrified at what we haven't been told about the fact that the United States actually carpet bombed So I think this, as Dan Coates, who was the National Security Advisor to Donald Trump, said, this is what the leadership in North Korea is looking at, as well as the decades of the United States threatening to bomb them in these practice dress rehearsals for invading and bombing North Korea with huge hundreds of thousands of troops, air forces, armadas at their shores, off their coast, and changing our policy from mutual assured destruction to first strike is the policy. First nuclear strike is the policy of the United States. So I think people have got to say, who is the madman in this? And you can look up an article I was really impressed with. The nuclear madman is Trump, not Kim. it sounds like it's a little bit glib, but it's a very detailed article about how the United States is completely in the dark about who has really been threatening in North Korea. And we're on the verge of slaughtering and causing that kind of genocide again, because I hear people calling into this program. I hear on the commercials, we've got the fear and EMP, buy our survival equipment, or else the boogeyman, North Korea and Iran, are going to get you. Like a little military-industrial complex we're hearing throughout the media, and the media is controlled by the Central Intelligence Agency. We're going to have an alternative to this mad rush towards war. We got to realize that the Democrats, the Republicans, Trump have totally been captured in this neocon war drive. Trump has surrendered. His reaction to being red-baited, Kremlin-baited in this phony Russiagate witch hunt has been to give them everything they want. And why would they stop attacking him? Because he rewards them. They attack him and Kremlin bait him, and he bombs Syria. He threatens to bomb Korea. He threatens to bomb Iran. So I think we've got to really provide an alternative. We're not getting it on this station here, and I think people should look up Paul Craig Roberts, all of his articles, Stephen Lenman, who has been on this program occasionally, and global research, because I think we're hurtling right to another genocidal bloodletting that could lead to World War III. And Paul Craig Roberts says this is exactly what is happening, because the United States has convinced Russia that we're out to overthrow them, and that's not going to happen short of a nuclear war. So I think people have got to get other sources of information and stop this demonization of North Korea. We destroyed that country. People like the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was there after we had destroyed it. He said it looked worse than anything that was done to Japan or to Dresden, the firebombing of Tokyo.
Well, you made a lot of good, strong points there, Don, and there's a reason why the Korean War is the forgotten war, I believe they call it, and it is also by design that not a lot of talk on Korea. North Korea has been a topic with each administration since then, and no one has really done anything, and he... two weeks ago, when Mr. Trump replaced his chief of staff with a general, I told someone that it's just a matter of time before we go to war when you do have all these generals. And I do believe war is intentional. We live in a nation, we live in a country from the get-go that war is on a cycle. And we are going, I believe, to war. Last year, I said we're going to be in war before the end of this year. When we got a general and a chief of staff, I bumped that up. I figured we'd be going to war right away. I was off a week. And what I don't understand is, I agree, all we have to do, and I even read an article this morning from Pat Buchanan, he says, why not move U.S. forces off the peninsula? That's what North Korea wants. Let South Korean troops replace them. Sell all the modern weapons it needs. Let Seoul build its own nuclear arsenal to deter the North. Remove any incentive for Kim to attack us, except to invite his own suicide. And tell China, halt Kim's ICBM program, or we will help South Korea and Japan become nuclear powers like Britain and France. Given the rising risk of our war generates from the Eastern Baltic to the Korean DMZ, and the paltry rewards of the American imperium, we are being bled from Libya to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen. A true America First foreign policy is going to become increasingly attractive. Kim's incredible threat to one day be able to nuke a U.S. city is going to concentrate American minds wonderfully. And that's from Patrick Buchanan. But why not remove? That's what he wants. Let North and South duke it out. Why do we have to be the police? This is what Mr. Trump ran on, was to bring our troops home. And yet we're going into, and we're broke. We're bankrupt.
Right. Yeah. Don, we thank you for your call. Appreciate it, bringing a different slant on that, and we appreciate that very much. We know that things are a little volatile right now.
War is nasty.
What's that?
War is nasty.
It is nasty. And, we have several generations here that really haven't seen a conflict like this or these. In fact, the last time it happened, I was reading some of the timeline of some of these agreements that were never ratified by Congress, including the one that Clinton had that actually gave them their nuclear options. They didn't keep their word. Of course, they didn't keep their word. They're not going to. And, it's, we were very close to an upset then. We were very close to an upset during the Carter administration, and somehow they pulled it out. And, but it ended up that here it is again. And of course, this time they actually have the nuclear options. They have the nuclear weapons. So, yeah, it seems like the United States is always in the thick of it, right in the middle. I used to tell one of my sons he was always in the middle of every fight. And it seems like that we kind of end up that way, too.
Well, I mean, we've had discussions, not you and I personally, but I've had discussions on the radio program. Tons of my clients, we all knew for years that in order to cover up our financial problems, there's going to be a war. So this really shouldn't come as a surprise to many folks, but yet still when it's on our, it's one thing when it's, a couple miles away, it's something else when it's on your front doorstep. And so it is frightening. There is a lot of propaganda out there, but the point is that we do know, it is, big headlines, locked and loaded, Trump, military ready. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be holding paper investments going into the weekend. I'd be wanting to buy gold and silver all day long today and cover yourself and hope that nothing happens. But this is nasty. And if he has the ability to reach the states, and I don't think anyone is coming out to say that he can't, we don't, most of your generals, most of your, those that would be in the know, basically says he can reach the U.S. There's a great possibility. Night before last, one of them said he can't do what he's saying he's going to do. Does he have a nuclear head? Yes, but he doesn't have, they don't think he's really got the capability of hitting Guam. And then they said, why would he even pick Guam? Guam's nothing. Why would he do that? Because there's a lot of military bases there's huge military bases on Guam. Yeah, do you remember the representative senator that was worried about when they were asking permission to put more military bases on there about Guam tipping over? I'll have to send that video to you. It's hysterical. And the military guy, how he kept a straight face, I don't know. I don't know how he did that, but it I'll have to find that, send it to you. Anyway, it was, I imagine there's always conflicts going on that American people don't know about. I'm certain that there is. But you're right about the economy. War seems to pops up every time we have some more issues in the economy, and I don't know when we ever don't have an issue in the economy anymore. It seems like since we're so far in debt and broke, as you would say, we're just broke. But since you mentioned the gold and silver, let's talk about that and tell people how they can get a hold of you and get started. If they haven't got started on that, it's time to do that. Well, I think the best company to do business with for gold and silver is Discount Gold and Silver Trading. Their telephone number is 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. I've been doing it for almost 25 years, and I take a very conservative approach to gold and silver. I don't use the speculation promises of higher prices. I think that's just a benefit, but I believe the true fundamentals of gold and silver is what people should really be purchasing. Gains are great. You hear people out there talking about $600 silver. Well, you know what? Let's get to $75 first. Then I'll tell you where it's going. I don't make promises like that, and I give you straight, honest information when it comes to purchasing your gold and silver. We've got some great prices. I price shop my prices with online sellers. I think buying gold and silver online is, I don't understand why anybody would do it. You buy gold and silver, one of the benefits is the privacy. So why would you buy it online when everybody knows that there's absolutely no privacy whatsoever? So you're kind of, you're kind of defeating your whole purpose if you're buying part of that reason, gold and silver, for privacy. My prices, I shop them online, and if someone is selling something at wholesale prices, well, we all know you can't do that. We've seen dealer after dealer after dealer go out of business because they sold at wholesale, and they can't stay in business. And so sometimes the price is just a little too cheap, and you have to be careful. But for the most part, I know my competitors online, my prices are usually less expensive. So buying online doesn't give you any benefits at all. So you need to call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Gold has done very well since the first of the year. It started out January 1 at $1,151, and I think we're still holding $1,287 today, almost $1,288. So a nice rise in gold, almost 12% increase since the first of the year. Silver's the same thing. Since January 1, the price of silver was $15.95. Today, we're looking at $17.13. So it's up 7% since the first of the year. So and since the 2000, they've done very well. Sure, we've gone up high and then we've come back. We know it's manipulated, but in times of distress, and this North Korea situation isn't going to go away. We know that August is one of the most volatile months for shares. We have people exited greed. People are very fearful of what's going to happen. So the markets are going to be tested. Nobody knows what fiscal and monetary policies in the future hold for us. In the very near future, we have the debt ceiling that has to be addressed. We're still running deficits. We're still 20+ trillion in debt. Add another 100 trillion for unfunded liabilities. I mean, folks, this isn't going to get any better than where we are today, and that's what's scary. I think we have peaked. I think there just isn't how much. Let's show tax cuts. What do you think that's going to do? Government needs revenues, and I think that's part of the stress on them wanting to repeal Obamacare. They need that money so they can do the tax cuts. Infrastructure. Where in the heck is the $1 trillion going to come from infrastructure?
There's a lot of talk. The man I used to work for, Derry Brownfield, he wrote an article a long, long time ago. And I'll have to send it to you. I've got it somewhere because I'm the one who typed it out. And nothing he ever wrote. We never copyrighted anything in his newsletter because we thought it was just too important to get the news out. But he wrote an article called Our Land for Collateral. So why do you think we have all these national forests and national monuments and preserving all this land and keeping it away from the people? Why do you think we do that?
Well, what was
It's not because we love the little animals. It's not because of that. So, whether that's the truth or not, I believe there is some truth in that our land is being used for collateral on our debts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which means we're in big trouble.
Yes, we are. And particularly, look at the wealth of China. everybody can talk about their debt and everybody can, smash China, but, they became the state that they are. They can thank the United States. I can remember Clinton getting in trouble for making arrangements and giving them information and technology and so forth. The people of this country has funded China's rise by buying all their cheap trinkets. Yeah, we can blame NAFTA, we can blame CAFTA, we can blame all the trade agreements, but yet we buy their cheap stuff. And all we have to do is stop buying.
That's difficult, but yeah.
It is. Just stop buying.
Because we don't make anything here anymore, like I was talking about with the shoes.
That's my point, yes. Stop buying and hurt them.
Yeah. That's easier said than done. But you're right.
I don't know.
It would be
people's garages, how full, how many
junk
people have things that we really don't need but we buy anyway. Look at the money we'd be able to save and be able to fund retirements. People would be able to fund their retirements. They wouldn't be stressed for having a $400 or $1,000 emergency.
And there are clothing companies that make made in the USA clothing. They're hard to come by, but they are out there. Let's see, there's the Diamond Gusset Jean Company, and they make jeans and T-shirts, and they can track the cotton down to the cotton field. There's Made in the USA, All-American Clothing Company. They have all kinds of clothing, not shoes. They have men's shoes. There's men's shoes and boots that are made here in the USA, but not women's high heels, women's shoes. Most of those are made abroad. They're not made here anymore. And it's those are the things we need to go after. Like I said, I remember an advertiser that I had brought on to the Jerry Brownfield show years and years ago, and they made a back apparatus for you to use in your chair and even in the car to help with lower back pain. And they some of the parts that they needed for that and the heaters that they made, they had to have them made over in China. But so they made trips to China quite frequently, but when they got their product back here, they had to redo them. They weren't always correct, but they had to get they had to do it over there, and I didn't quite understand all the economics of it, but there was no way to get it done here. And I know there's some things that you just cannot get here in the USA anymore.
Absolutely. But for the most part, for what most Americans need, and we've confused the word needs from wants. Yes.
One of my sons does that to his wife all the time. You need it or you want it.
I remember as a child at Christmas, we didn't get tons of toys and cell phones, and we got underwear, we got socks.
Pajamas.
Yeah, pajamas. Maybe we got an outfit for school. Maybe as a little girl I got a dolly. And games. I had two brothers. We had games. So, but for the most part, it was needs, not wants, that we received. Right. So I think that
we did mark a lot in the wish book, though.
Yeah.
We didn't get it, but we marked a lot in the wish book. We got a few toys, but I know my grandmother never gave us a toy. I always got a new pair of pajamas, new nightgown for Christmas every year from my grandmother.
One of those,
right.
Something. So, but how many people give Bibles as gifts anymore?
Not too many.
Not too many?
We do at my house, but I've got 3 sons that are in the ministry, so we do, or Christian books that are study books or something. They do that quite a bit, but it's you're right. We look at Christmas and it's just so commercialized, and so are birthdays and everything else. We very seldom got much for birthdays. We got to choose what cake we wanted, and I remember just getting a couple of birthday presents my whole life when I was a kid. It wasn't something that Mom and Dad did, We celebrated our birthday with our cake. That's sang happy birthday, and we blew out the candles.
That's pretty. And I remember my grandmother would take me to Hershey Park. We lived close to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania, and we would have, a picnic in Hershey Park. That was maybe 4 years in a row or something like that. But yeah, you're right. We had a birthday cake. So yes, things will change.
Memories. Those are great memories.
There they are.
Yeah. You remember that more than you remember a toy that you received.
Yes. And I think I remember we're going into a break, too.
We are. I hear the music. The number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks. This is Beth Ann, and my partner, Melody Cedarstrom, is back. So we're all happy about that. And you know what? We're going to be right back.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
And we have returned listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning. The number to call is 300-1218. We're in the final segment of today's show. We're going into a weekend, and we just got through talking. I'm going to give the number again, 717-300-1218. I'm going to throw a question out. We had Don call in about the Korea issue, and there's been a lot of scuttlebutt as to whether President Donald Trump, was talking too sternly or was he doing the right thing. So we're going to ask that question of you. Is he talking too tough, or is he doing the right thing, speaking Kim's language? And, I remember when 9/11 happened, Melody, and I can't remember his wording, but President Bush at that time, he made some comment, and the mainstream media was mad at him because he was talking tough cowboy talk. And I know they were upset with President Reagan, when he did that. But, something that's concerning is that Susan Rice has come out and said, we need to just accept that they have nuclear weapons. Well, that'd be easier to accept if they weren't threatening to hit us with them. But but the question is, do you think Donald Trump is doing the right thing if he's talking tough, or you think he should just kind of back off a little bit? That's the question. 717-300-1218.
And you know what? I think, my personal opinion, I think Mr. Trump is doing the right thing. Even his approval rating has jumped, I think, close to 44, 45%, and it was depending on what poll you look at, of course, but, he was, he was trending down there at 35 and 38, so it seems like the rest of America approves of his tough talk, and I do believe you have to have tough talk, and he is getting in his head, and, Kim has to realize, he faces a chance of being wiped off the face of the earth. So we'll see. I think he's supposed to do those tests this weekend. They were going to do some more testing this weekend. And so...
Well, don't you think it's strange that he's kind of giving them a roadmap of what he's going to do? Isn't he kind of asking to get hit?
Perhaps he's giving them the roadmap to make the U.S. or Mr. Trump say, hey, I'm just doing these as a test. I'm not really, I'm explaining what I'm doing to you so you don't think I'm doing something else.
Don't hit me.
Yeah, so please don't hit me.
Maybe.
So maybe
can we trust it to be a test? That's the other thing.
That's correct, too. Can we trust him to say that it is a test and take everybody off guard? But I don't know. It's interesting. It's scary. It's frightening. But we are here on the day where things aren't going to get much better than what we have today. And that's a sad, sad tale.
We have Joe from Arkansas. Joe, how are you doing today?
Oh, staying dry enough so far. And how are you, Beth?
I'm doing good. Good to hear you on Power Talks.
Yes, Joe. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, what I want to say on this topic of North Korea is, I think Trump is doing the right thing. But here's what I think is the really dangerous thing about this situation is that we see that so much of the government, the Democrats and the media and a lot of the Republicans just absolutely will not get behind Trump and support Trump no matter what he does on this. And so what makes this situation really dangerous for us, I believe, is that North Korea itself is not all that much danger to the United States, I don't think. They could do some damage, but, they're not that much of a huge threat. But we've got countries that really are a big, huge danger, enemy countries like China, watching the situation. And if they see that the country is completely disunited and that so much of the government and the big media will oppose Trump no matter what he does and will not support anything he wants to do militarily, even if the safety of the country is at stake, China will decide, hey, this is a really good time to attack the United States because they will not unite behind their commander-in-chief and oppose us. That's what I think is a really dangerous situation about this.
Even with that sanctions that they had him sign, he didn't want to sign that, and they were trying to tie his hands then.
Mm-hmm.
Melody?
Yeah. Yes, it's more important to them to oppose Trump than that the country survives.
Right.
Do you know who really
That's how they are.
Other than the people of the citizens, do you really know who gets hurt the most if this goes forward? Because you're right, Joe. The mainland here, I mean, we're pretty safe unless something happens and you get Iran involved and Russia and China involved. And then the whole situation changes because we're not, it's not North Korea that's the threat. It's the other countries that would come up and stand behind him. And I've said on my program, is there anybody there kind of egging him on, telling him that he's got support if he stands up to the U.S.? But you know who also really gets hurt is these multinational corporations. Because South Korea, I mean, they're one of the 4 high-tech industrialized countries. And they're, the 5th largest exporter, the world's 7th largest advanced economy. So there's a lot of financial there's a lot of financial disruption that will happen if he goes into and bombs South Korea. So my question is, what are they really protecting? Are they really is it really they're protecting the United States, or are they protecting the multinational corporations in South Korea, the infrastructure?
Yeah, I think so too. Joe, appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Good to hear from you. Well, you know.
Okay, well, can I make one more?
Yes, sir.
Can I make one more comment on what Melody just said? Well, it looks to me like, from the sound of it, protecting the multinational corporations in South Korea might have something to do with it. But, it sounds to me like this guy in North Korea, from what I hear about it, he really is threatening a large part. He really is threatening Japan, for instance, and he really is threatening, now he's threatening Guam. If he keeps on developing his missiles and everything, possibly he could even send one over to the United States. And, it's a little bit more than just protecting the multinational corporations there. Because it sounds like this guy in North Korea, the leader of South Korea, North Korea, really is a kind of a danger to the whole area.
True. He's got one shot. He gets one he gets one chance. So I don't know what direction he'd go into, but he's not going to be going into all of them. He's not going to do everybody all at once. Because once he hits that one button, he could hit multiple buttons at once. But, once he does, his history, the country's history. And I do believe.
They were saying the other night that he has to do something to save face because he's made these threats now, and he's got to do something. So maybe that's the reason he said we're going to test this weekend.
Maybe.
So anyway, Joe, thank you so much. I always appreciate your input. I really do. Joe's a regular caller on CSC Talk Radio with me, and I really do appreciate him.
I like Joe. He's got some great insights.
Oh my gosh, he really, really does. He looks at it a little differently. I always say the forest for the trees, and he definitely sees the entire forest. He definitely does.
He does. So. He's a caller into financial survival, too. Although we haven't heard from him lately, Joe, if you're listening.
He was quiet there for a little while. I think he was having some issues with the radio frequency or something. I don't remember what it was, but he was having some issues with something. But he's back.
Folks are very important, and we always encourage and welcome your calls.
Absolutely. And we're just about out of time, but I'm going to give you the number to write it down for next week because we will be here Monday morning.
Are we over?
What's that?
Are we done?
Just about. We've got a couple of minutes. 717-300-1218. We're not done yet. But to get another caller would take a little bit for us. So I just wanted to throw that out there. 717-300-1218. Write it down. Keep it by your phone. Or put it in your phone. If you're using a cell phone. Put it in there. Power Talk. Do you have it in yours?
Not yet, but
I do hear the music. Yes. Do I hear the music?
Yes, you do.
Oh my gosh, I do hear the music. Do you have your ending? Do you have it handy?
I don't think we have time.
All right. Well, let me give a George Washington one.
We have to go.
Okay, we are done for the day.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.